Hello and welcome to Idea TV News Update. I am Cynthia Bassi. We begin with the headlines. Nigeria's mining sector now contributes 4.6% to GDP. Nigeria Immigration launches voluntary return program for foreign visa overstayers. Telcos reports over 3,000 equipment thefts as NCC warns of threats to broadband expansion. NLC calls for tax on tech giants to fund workers retaining in AI era. And away from Africa, Taliban attacks leave 23 dead in northwestern Pakistan. In health, experts urge stronger mental health support for disaster victims in Nigeria. And in business, TINUBU'S upstream reforms generate 12.25 trillion naira in 2 years. And in sports, Nigeria, Uganda and Benin set to represent Africa at inaugural WBC Amateur World Cup. Now the news in full. Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, has announced a significant leap in the mining sector's contribution to the national economy, rising from less than 0.5% to 4.6% of the country's gross domestic product in the second quarter of 2025. He described this as clear evidence of the sector's transformation under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu, driven by reforms that prioritize transparency, value addition, and investment de-risking. Speaking ahead of the 10th Nigerian Mining Week scheduled to take place in Abuja from the 13th to 15th of October this year, Alake said the ministry's focus has expanded beyond domestic reforms to positioning Nigeria as a credible global mining destination. The event team Nigeria Mining from Progress to Global Relevance will bring together over 3,500 delegates, including investors, policymakers and industry leaders, to chart a roadmap for sustainable growth and competitiveness in the solid minerals sector. Alake highlighted key milestones achieved under the ongoing reforms, including the strengthening of the Solid Minerals Development Fund to attract private financing, the digitization of geological data, the deployment of mining marshals to tackle illegal mining, and the introduction of new community development agreement guidelines to ensure host communities benefit from the mining operations. Other achievements include reforms at the Mining Custodial Office, the launch of a new solid minerals development roadmap, and the creation of a value addition framework aimed at boosting local processing and job creation. Industry stakeholders, including the Miners Association of Nigeria and PwC, Nigeria, expressed optimism about the sector's progress, describing the upcoming mining week as a reflection of a decade of innovation and collaboration. They noted that despite existing challenges such as insecurity and access to finance, the mining industry is transitioning from the ambition to tangible impact, with minerals like lithium, gold, barite, and bitumen driving Nigeria's economic diversification efforts. In another news, the Nigerian Immigration Service has introduced a new post-amnesty voluntary return and documentation program for foreign nationals who overstayed their visas or failed to regularize their stay in the country. According to the service public relations officer, Assistant Controller of Immigration Akinshola Akinlabi, the initiative known as PAVRDP will begin on the 13th of October this year. Under the program, affected foreign nationals are expected to voluntarily report to the nearest immigration command for registration and documentation. Each individual's case will be assessed on its own merit in line with the provisions of the Immigration Act of 2015 and other relevant regulations. The Immigration Service stated that those who fail to comply will face arrest, detention and removal from Nigeria, along with possible long-term entry bans. The service also warned that assisting or harboring illegal immigrants remains a punishable offense under the Nigerian law. Companies and individuals were therefore advised to avoid such violations to prevent prosecution. The post-amnesty initiative follows the recently concluded expired visa initiative, which ran from May to September 2025. The amnesty offered foreign nationals with expired visas or residence permits an opportunity to regularize their status without penalties. Initially set to end on the 1st of August, the deadline will extend to the 30th of September to allow more people to take advantage of the grace period. With the expiration of the amnesty, the Immigration Service began nationwide enforcement from the 1st of October, targeting individuals who violated visa conditions or overstayed their permits. The new voluntary return program aims to ensure compliance with Nigeria's immigration laws while maintaining fairness and due process for all foreign nationals. In other news, Nigeria's telecommunications sector has recorded more than 3,200 cases of equipment theft between January and August 2025, worsening the operational challenges that continue to slow broadband expansion across the country. According to the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), the industry also suffered 19,384 fiber cuts and over 19,000 incidents of denied access to telecom sites within the same period, resulting in prolonged outages, financial losses, and increased maintenance costs. Speaking at the Business Roundtable in Abuja themed Right of Way and Protection of Broadband Infrastructure, the road to success is broadband investment and connectivity. The NCC's Executive Vice Chairman, Dr. Aminu Maida, said the protection of telecom infrastructure must be treated as a national priority. He cited the presidential order on critical national information infrastructure signed by President Bola Tinubu in June 2024, which empowers law enforcement agencies to prosecute vandalism and theft of telecom facilities while mandating the NCC and the Office of the National Security Advisor (ONSA) to ensure enforcement. Maida revealed that a telecommunications industry working group had been established to coordinate enforcement and public awareness efforts. He added that the communication has also launched nationwide campaigns through media and community engagement to sensitize citizens on the importance of safeguarding telecom assets. ONSA, in collaboration with the NCC, has reportedly dismantled major cartels responsible for telecom equipment theft, further strengthening efforts to protect critical digital infrastructure. Despite these initiatives, the NCC said persistent issues such as multiple taxation, inconsistent right-of-way policies across states, weak coordination with road authorities, and unreliable power supply continue to hinder broadband investment. Maida stressed that Nigeria's digital future depends on protecting telecom infrastructure, warning that the sector cannot thrive if operators remain under constant threat from vandalism and theft. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC), Comrade Joe Ajaero, has called for the introduction of a tax on the profits of technology companies and the automated industries to fund large-scale retaining and upskilling programs for workers whose jobs are threatened by artificial intelligence. Speaking at the 2025 conference of the Labour Writers Association of Nigeria in Ibadan, Ajaero warned that while AI is often presented as a symbol of innovation and progress, it is increasingly being used to deepen worker exploitation, erode rights, and widen inequality. He described the rise of AI as the modern face of the class struggle, noting that many corporations deploy technology not to empower workers, but to maximize profit by casualizing labor and weakening collective bargaining. Ajaero urged policymakers to enact laws that protect workers in the digital age, including the right to disconnect, restrictions on algorithmic surveillance, and the fair sharing of productivity gains through shorter work weeks without pay cuts. The NLC president emphasized that AI should serve humanity by promoting leisure, security, and shared prosperity rather than creating a digitally dispossessed underclass. He insisted that the benefits of automation must be socialized, not monopolized by a few corporations, adding that comprehensive retraining initiatives are key to preparing workers for the evolving world of work. Ajero also criticized recent anti-union activities at the Dangote refinery and petrochemical complex, accusing the company of violating labor laws and international conventions by preventing workers from joining unions. He called on journalists to play a vital role in amplifying workers' struggles, stressing that their tools, typewriters, recorders, and keyboards are essential instruments in the fight against corporate propaganda and the defense of workers' rights. And away from Africa, at least 23 people, including 20 security personnel and 3 civilians, have been killed in a series of coordinated attacks by the Pakistani Taliban in northwestern Pakistan. The assaults, which took place on Friday across several districts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province bordering Afghanistan, including a suicide bombing on a police training school and armed ambushes targeting security forces. According to security officials, 11 paramilitary troops were killed in the border Khyber district, while 7 policemen lost their lives when a suicide bomber rammed an explosive-laden vehicle into the gates of a police training facility before gunmen opened fire. In a separate incident in Bajor district, 5 others, including 3 civilians, were killed in clashes with militants. The Pakistani Taliban, also known as Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan (TTP), claimed responsibility for the attacks on social media. Militancy has intensified in the region since the withdrawal of US-led forces from Afghanistan in 2021 and the subsequent return of the Taliban to power in Kabul. Islamabad has repeatedly accused Afghanistan's Taliban government of sheltering TTP fighters who launched cross-border attacks into Pakistan, a claim that Afghan authorities continue to deny. The latest wave of violence occurred just hours after Kabul accused Pakistan of violating its territorial sovereignty following explosions in the Afghan capital. While Pakistan has not confirmed involvement in those incidents, it maintains that it reserves the right to defend itself against rising border militancy. So far, at least 32 Pakistani troops and 3 civilians have been killed in the border areas this week alone. We'll go on a quick break now. The news continues when we return.
Quantum computing. Quantum computing is still in its infancy, but has the potential to revolutionize industries that require massive computational power. Unlike traditional computers, quantum computers use quantum bits, or qubits, which can process a vast number of possibilities simultaneously. This makes quantum computing particularly valuable for solving complex problems in drug discovery, cryptography, and optimization. However, the technology is still experimental, and practical applications are limited by issues like error rates and stability. Despite this, quantum computing is attracting massive investments from companies like Google and IBM, and the market could reach $64.98 billion by 2030.
Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is Idea TV News Update. Now the rest of the news continues. The medical director of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Yaba, Dr. Olubenga Owoeye, has called for greater mental health support for Nigerians affected by disasters. Speaking at an event to commemorate World Mental Health Day in Lagos themed access to services, mental health in catastrophes and emergencies, Owoeye stressed that both natural and human-induced disasters often leave victims with deep psychological scars that require urgent attention. He highlighted recent data from the National Emergency Management Agency showing that flood disasters had claimed over 230 lives and displaced thousands across the country. Owoeye warned that such crises heighten emotional distress and increase the risk of mental disorders, noting that 1 in 5 Nigerians currently lives with a mental health condition. He urged the government, health professionals, schools, and community groups to work together to ensure access to quality mental health services for the most vulnerable. Consultant psychiatrist Dr. Benjamin Obembe, in his keynote address, emphasized that immediate psychological support for disaster victims can reduce trauma and long-term mental health complications. He pointed out that Nigerians' limited number of psychiatrists remains a major barrier to effective mental health care and urged authorities to integrate mental health into primary health care and leverage technology to expand access. Also speaking, the Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Olufemi Oke Osanyitolu, said that the state had enhanced its emergency response systems to better manage disasters. Experts and international bodies, including the World Health Organization, continue to advocate for mental health and psychosocial support to be embedded in disaster management frameworks to reduce long-term psychological harm and promote community resilience. Now moving on to business news, Nigeria's energy sector is undergoing a major transformation with reforms in the oil and gas upstream segment, generating 12.25 trillion naira in revenue within 2 years. According to energy governance expert Professor Josiah Danladi, these reforms are positioning the country to transition from being a net importer to a potential net exporter of refined petroleum products. The scholar commended the administration of President Bola Tinubu and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission (NUPRC) for implementing policies anchored on transparency, accountability, and data-driven governance. He noted that the Petroleum Industry Act (PIA) has provided the necessary framework to enhance efficiency, attract investment, and strengthen monitoring systems that ensure improved revenue performance. Danladi highlighted that the removal of fuel subsidy has significantly boosted allocations to states and local governments, enabling more funding for infrastructure, healthcare, education, and social development. He added that dormant oil blocks are being revived, electronic production reporting has improved accountability, and compliance monitoring is now more effective across the sector. He further explained that the ongoing gas flare commercialization program is turning environmental challenges into economic opportunities, reducing waste and creating jobs. According to him, this development reflects a deliberate effort to build a transparent and sustainable energy future for Nigeria, while strengthening collaboration between the government, oil companies, and host communities. And lastly, in sports, Nigeria, Uganda, and the Republic of Benin are set to fly Africa's flag at the maiden edition of the WBC Amateur World Cup, scheduled to take place from October 16 to 19 this year at the Municipal Auditorium in Tijuana, Mexico. The three countries secured their spots after impressive performances at the WBC ABU Amateur Boxing Championship held earlier this year in Lagos, which served as the continental qualifier for the global tournament. The Yucateco group, led by Omonlei Imadu in partnership with Nigeria's Minister of Finance Wale Edun and the Hall of Fame Foundation, has committed to sponsoring Nigeria's participation in the competition. The sponsorship package covers travel, accommodation, and logistics for both athletes and officials, ensuring that Team Nigeria is fully equipped for the world stage. Nigeria will be represented by 6 boxers, while Uganda and Benin will represent 4 and 1 athlete respectively. The Nigerian team, currently training at the Lagos Boxing Hall of Fame gym in Surulere, includes boxers, coaches, technical directors, nutritionists, and team managers, all working intensely to fine-tune their preparation ahead of the championship. Among the standout athletes is Precious Anine, who will compete in the women's 63 kg category. She expressed optimism about the team's chances, promising that Nigeria will make Africa proud in Mexico. The upcoming WBC Amateur World Cup is not only a celebration of global boxing talent, but also a landmark moment for Africa, reflecting the continent's growing prominence in international boxing. And that's all we have for you on Idea TV News Update. But before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. We brought to you news that Nigeria's mining sector now contributes 4.6% to GDP. We also brought to you news that Nigeria Immigration launches voluntary return program for foreign visa overstayers. Telcos reports over 3,000 equipment thefts as NCC warns of threats to broadband expansion. NLC calls for tax on tech giants to fund workers retaining in AI era. And away from Africa, Taliban attacks leave 23 dead in northwestern Pakistan. In health, expert urges stronger mental health support for disaster victims in Nigeria. And in business, TINUBU'S upstream reforms generate 12.25 trillion naira in 2 years. And lastly, in sport, Nigeria, Uganda and Benin set to represent Africa at inaugural WC Amateur World Cup. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms at Idea Television. I am Cynthia Bassi. Thank you for watching.